Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats, and today I'm joined by...
Lee. Hi, everyone.
We are joined by greatness again. So, Lee, who was supposed to be Mr. Budget, he's bought himself a cert, he's buying another cert, and now he's thinking about buying a quad Cortex or an Axe-Effect system.
Yeah.
So, no more Mr. Budget, no?
No, I've been hanging around with the wrong people.
You definitely have. You definitely have. So, what I've done today is I've spent all morning setting this up before Lee gets here, is I've set up 3 different sounds on my quad Cortex and 3 different sounds on my Axe-Effect system. Now, all of these presets are going to be transferable over to an FM3 because that is really what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So basically what we're doing is comparing the sort of sounds that you can get out of an FM3, a Fractal Audio FM3 and a quad Cortex. So the patches that I've programmed in, I've done a Princeton.
Okay.
I've done a Mezaboogie JP.
Nice.
Because that's your sort of thing. Lee likes all the proggy sort of heavy stuff.
Yep.
And I've done a JCM 800.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Both the same on both systems.
Yep.
And I've also loaded up an IR, the same IR in both. Now, both of the systems, you can use their own sort of proprietary cab modelling.
Yep.
So we're not doing that today. What I want to compare is to get as close to the same sounds as possible, but using their own amp modelling. Now, I'm not going to be using any capture inside the quad Cortex. This is just their amp modelling. So we're using amp modelling in the QC and amp modelling in the Axe-Effects.
Right. Excellent.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I know this is really complicated, and this is why I've been spending all morning doing this, but I've got Lee plugged into my KHE amp switcher, so I can switch between both of these different units without Lee knowing. Okay. Right. I'm not sure we're going to do it like that, but we want to find out basically what is the best...
What's most preferred?
Yeah, what's the most preferred amp modeler? And there's also some things that you want to know about these particular systems, like the detuning, that sort of stuff. So I'm not really used to that, so we'll get into that a bit later on. So, first of all, what do you want to do first of all? Do you want to do heavy stuff or light stuff?
No, we'll start with the clean stuff, shall we?
Start with the clean stuff,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow, that's really responsive, isn't it? To go from that, you can really, I don't actually know which unit this is at the moment, whether this is QC or Axe-Effects, I don't know.
Okay, shall I switch over to the other one?
Nice, yeah. Okay, tiny little bit, not quite as bright as the other one. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just an observation. I was going to say it doesn't feel quite as alive as the other one under the fingers. This might be an EQ thing though. It's minuscule between them, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I've done. I've basically loaded in the Axe-Effects Princeton.
Yeah.
And I've loaded in the quad Cortex Princeton. So I haven't done a lot of tweaking. So yes, one might be brighter than the other one. One might be a tad louder. I'm going to try and even this out in post so everyone can hear exactly how it should be. But, okay, so there's your clean tone.
Yeah.
Right, let's switch over to dirty tones. Do you want the JP first?
Okay. Let's go for it.
There's
Cool.
one of them.
Yeah.
Try the other one. Go on.
Yeah.
So, out of that one, so I think from the clean example,
Yep.
you preferred number one.
Number one. Yep.
From this one, you prefer?
Number two.
Okay, so you prefer number two.
I've caused a problem now.
No. You haven't, because you don't know which one I'm switching.
No.
So everyone can see on screen what what the preference is or what Lee's playing through at any particular time. Okay, we'll switch over to a JCM
Yep.
tone. Yeah.
I think I prefer that to the Mesa Boogie.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That was
That's
rocking.
really
That
interesting.
was rocking, that was.
Okay. Right, now this one.
Yeah, number one. Number one's killer.
Right, every single time you've chosen the Axe Effects. But, well, so I don't think that's such a bad thing.
Wow.
Because the FM3 is more reasonably priced than the Quad Cortex.
It is, yeah.
So, let me explain a couple of things, and we're going to go through a couple of things about each unit and what I think really is the strong points of each unit. Well, first of all, when I was sort of loading up these patches, the Quad Cortex, I think is really geared for metal. I think the tones, it feels like the guys that are programming these tones are very much into metal.
Yeah, their software versions of all their amps have mostly been metal amps.
I'd say mostly been metal. The Quad Cortex, the whole range of amplifiers in there, and it is vast. It is almost too much.
Yeah.
Because there's loads to go through, and you can do loads within the Quad Cortex. So what I thought we'd do now is to just have a look at both and just go through a couple of things, and then you can sort of say, well, does it do this? Does it do that?
Yeah.
On either unit, because you still might be swayed by the Quad Cortex.
Yeah.
So if I put this guitar down, hold on. Now, one of the things for me that I think is really strong with the Axe Effects is the effects that are inside it.
Yeah.
By the way, this is not a sponsored video. I own both units, so I haven't got a preference over both units. I have got a preference, but it's a sound preference and it's a feel preference. Did you notice that when you're playing through the Axe Effects, it felt more responsive? I think you said that initially on the first.
Yeah. Yeah, it was number one. Number one of the clean sound. That was the Axe Effects, wasn't it? Yeah, it felt really good. It kind of like you could really feel. It wasn't sterile and plasticky. It kind of bloomed as you if you do a heavy strum and it kind of goes woof like that.
And I think that's the thing about the Axe Effects stuff is because it's modelled so tightly. All the components have been modelled. It does actually mimic what the amp does. Whether it does it exactly if you had like an amplifier in the room, but it definitely feels to me like you're plugged into an amp, way more than any other modelling device. Right, one of the things, let me make sure I've got it on the Axe Effects. Now, one of the things that I think is really good about the Axe Effects, as I just said, is the effects inside it. Stick it on a single coil. Try that. Play something.
Wow.
Play something melodic.
on forever, that, doesn't it?
But you'll notice like the quality of that reverb is immense, isn't it?
So delay on there as well.
Yeah, it's got. So yeah, this is, if I open this up actually, this is called Plex delay.
Ah, okay.
But it's the program inside it, or the preset inside it is called Plex verb. And this for me is like the most ultimate sort of. It isn't a shimmer reverb because it hasn't got all of the different pitch options on, but the modulation and the reverb, the quality of the reverb in that to me is every bit as good as any sort of studio hardware piece of piece of gear.
Yeah, it sounded great. Very nice.
Amazing, isn't it? So that's that sort of type of reverb inside the Axe effects. Now what I thought I'd do, if I go back to that patch there, is to load in a similar sort of reverb inside the Cortex, and I think this will demonstrate the difference in quality between the effects on both units. So this is the same sort of idea of a modulated reverb, but this is the Cortex version.
Yeah, the Axe effects is nice, isn't it? It's really the Axe effects is kind of brighter. That felt a little bit duller, a little bit darker.
Well, I don't think the effects. I think that's the thing, or the difference between the Cortex and the Axe effects is the quality of the effects. So let's take it off those big reverbs.
Yep.
And let's go back to the JCM 800s on both units. And what I'm going to do is just load in a drive in both, so you can hear the difference. Now I've loaded up a clon style overdrive in both units, and this is a JCM 800 setting. Let me see which one's first. So this is, I can tell you what it is now. This is the Cortex. Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Cortex. Axe effects.
Yeah, number 2.
Fun, isn't it? And
I can fit there's a pattern forming here.
But the thing is, a Cortex is not shabby.
No, if you listen to that in isolation, if that was the only unit you had in the room,
Yeah.
we'd be sat there going, "Oh God, that sounds amazing."
Yeah.
Because it does.
Yeah. It is. It's just not the Axe effects. It isn't quite as good as the Axe effects. So there you go. Unsponsored video. What do you think you're going to go for?
So there are certain aspects of the build of each unit which I've obviously had a look at before today, before I heard each unit. I'm not so crazy on the power supply for the Cortex.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little barrel connector.
Well, you can sort of rectify that by buying something like the Walrus Audio Canvas, which has 9-volt outputs and also a 12-volt output, which will then power the other pedals on your pedal board, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It's not the most sort of pro...
I'm just thinking about the rigours of touring.
Yeah.
Because the FM3 comes with a regular, what we call in the UK, a kettle lead.
I think it's IEC code.
It's a 3-pin, which is basically available the world over.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what country you go to. I've got gigs coming up. Shameless plug. I've got gigs coming up in Belgium and Germany and Holland later this year.
Nice.
And maybe Poland as well. You only have to leave.
Hold on a second before we go on. If anyone wants to avoid the towns where you're playing prog, at least.
They'll be well publicised. You'll be able to avoid us, no problem. It only takes a careless moment at a gig last night where you forgot to pick up your power cable.
Yep.
And you get to the next gig and you open up your bag and your case. Where's my power cable? At least an IEC. IEC?
I think it's called IEC.
Right? The kettle lead.
Yeah.
Easy to get hold of in any country. Anyway, so that's just one thing. Quite a few of the comments that I've read online, everybody says, the build of the FM3 looks great. It looks rugged. It's got the carry handles on the top. It looks built for the road.
Yeah.
Whereas the Quad Cortex looks like a piece of art and looks better on your desk. And I can kind of see that, it looks fantastic as a unit, but, would you really want to take that to a rough and tumble festival or a gig or a pub gig? Well,
that's true. But some of the great things about the QC is you have got all of those modifiers and controllers on front of the unit, so you can switch between more presets, while the FM3 has as standard 3, and yes, you can expand it by buying the foot controllers for it. But yeah, you can do more with the QC.
Yeah, so I don't know. The other added complication, of course, is that the neural sort of ecosystem of products includes the Nano Cortex, which I could get a Nano Cortex and add that into my current setup. And that would work really well. So that's getting all the benefits of, the capturing side of the neural stuff. Plus the Nano Cortex has got delay in it. It's got pitch shift in it. So, I don't know, there's almost too much to consider, really, isn't there? Well, I've really been thinking about getting something of this kind of pro level, moving up from the sort of, the mid modelers up to the high end modelers. And the FM3 was really the one that I'd kind of got my heart set on, but I don't know.
Well, I was at an event where Larry Mitchell was there playing through an FM3, and he's an amazing guitar player anyway, but the tones that he got out of the FM3, I was blown away with. Well, I'm not sure I've ever been like that with the QC.
Interesting.
So there you go. So watch this space.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So I really hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click on the bell button and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. Also go and check out Lee's channel, which is
la.guitar.
la.guitar. And we'll see you next time. I'm Paul.
I'm Lee.